Ever feel like every conversation with your husband turns into a fight? Like even a simple pass the salt somehow turns into World War III? Hey, I'm Michael Flynn, and welcome to Relationship Reset Academy. I've been a relationship counselor for over 10 years, helping couples turn their constant conflicts into real connection. If you're stuck in a cycle of arguing, you might think the only options are to fight or shut down. But what if I told you there's a way to break free from the drama without feeling like you're walking on eggshells? By the end of this video, you'll have 5 game-changing strategies to stop the endless arguments, rebuild intimacy, and actually enjoy your marriage again. Sound good, right? Before we dive in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss more relationship-saving advice. All right, let's get into it, starting with the real reason behind all these fights. First things first, why do you keep fighting? No, it's not because you marry the wrong person. It's not because love has disappeared. And no, it's not just because he doesn't listen, even though, let's be honest, that's frustrating. Most fights happen because of unspoken needs, unmet expectations, and the way you're communicating or not communicating. Here's the truth. Fighting isn't the problem. How you fight is. Let me explain. If every argument turns into a battle to be right, you both lose. If you're fighting to prove a point instead of fixing the problem, the fight will never end. So how do you change this? Let's go step by step. Step 1. Stop trying to win the argument. When you're in the middle of a heated argument, it's so easy to get caught up in proving your point. You feel like if you just explain yourself clearly enough, if you just make him see things from your perspective, he'll finally understand. But here's the problem. He's thinking the exact same thing. He wants to be right just as much as you do. So what happens? You both dig in your heels, neither of you budges, and suddenly, the conversation isn't about the original issue anymore. It becomes a battle of who's going to back down first. Marriage isn't a debate where the best argument wins. It's not about proving who's right and who's wrong. If one of you wins, what actually happens is that both of you lose. Because even if you manage to get the last word, even if he eventually throws up his hands and says, fine, whatever, you're right, the relationship itself takes a hit. He doesn't feel heard. You don't feel appreciated. And the resentment lingers. The next time you feel yourself gearing up for battle, pause and ask yourself one simple question. Do I want to be right? Or do I want to be happy? That's not to say you should just let things go and never express your feelings. But when the goal shifts from proving a point to actually understanding each other, the entire dynamic of your arguments changes. Instead of defending your position like a lawyer in court, try shifting into curiosity. Instead of saying, you never listen to me, try asking, what are you hearing me say right now? Instead of, you always do this, say, help me understand why this keeps happening. When you stop treating arguments like a competition, you open the door for real communication. And real communication is what strengthens marriages, not winning debates. Step 2. Break the pattern. If you and your husband keep having the same fight over and over again, there's a pattern playing out. And until you change how the argument begins, it will always end the same way. Think about it. How many times have you argued about the same topic, whether it's who does more around the house, how you communicate, or even small things like where to eat? The words might change, but the outcome never does. It's frustrating, exhausting, and honestly, it makes you feel stuck. The good news is you don't have to stay stuck. The way to break a pattern isn't by fighting harder, yelling louder, or explaining yourself over and over. It's by doing something different. When you notice the argument starting to play out in the same way it always does, disrupt it. Change your response. If you normally get defensive, try staying silent for a moment. If you usually shut down, try engaging. If you always start with criticism, try starting with appreciation. For example, if the fight is always about housework and your usual approach is, you never help me around here, try saying, I really appreciate when you take care of the dishes. It makes a big difference. It might feel strange at first, especially if you're used to arguments escalating quickly. But breaking the cycle doesn't mean ignoring problems. It means shifting the energy of the conversation so that it doesn't immediately spiral into a fight. The way you approach these conversations determines how they end. And if you want better results, you have to take a different approach. If you're wondering how to make these shifts even easier, check out romancedictionary.com/marriage. There's a simple but powerful method you can start using today that will help you stop these repeated fights before they even start. The link is in the pop-up here and in the description below. Step 3. Change how you start the conversation. Most arguments don't actually start when you think they do. They start in the first few words, in the tone of voice you use, in the way you frame what you're about to say. If you begin with blame, frustration, or an accusation, the other person immediately gets defensive. And once someone is in defense mode, they're not listening. They're not engaging. They're just preparing their counterattack. Think about the last fight you had. How did it start? Did it begin with something like, "You never listen to me, you always do this," or "Why do you have to be so difficult?" If so, then the fight didn't start because of the issue itself. It started because of how it was brought up. Now, imagine how different things could go if you open the conversation in a softer, calmer way. Instead of saying, "You never make time for me," try saying, "I really miss spending time with you." Instead of, "You don't care about how I feel," say, "I feel like we haven't been connecting lately, and I want us to." These small shifts don't just prevent fights. They create opportunities for real conversations. It's also important to be mindful of your body language and tone. You could say the exact same words, but if your voice is sharp or your arms are crossed, it can still come across as an attack. The goal here is to create a space where your husband feels safe enough to actually listen, instead of immediately going on the defensive. If you get the first few seconds of a conversation right, you can avoid so much unnecessary conflict. Step 4. Take a break before things get ugly. It's so easy to let an argument spiral. 1 second, you're just disagreeing about something small. The next, voices are raised, tempers are flaring, and things are being said that neither of you really mean. That's because when emotions take over, logic goes out the window. You stop thinking clearly, and instead, you react based on frustration, hurt, or anger. And when that happens, the argument stops being productive. It just turns into damage control. This is why stepping away is one of the smartest things you can do. Not storming off, not slamming the door, not shutting down completely, but calmly saying, "I don't want us to fight like this. Let's take a break and talk about this when we're both calmer." It doesn't mean you're ignoring the issue. It doesn't mean you're giving up. It means you care enough about your marriage to step back and approach things in a way that actually leads to a solution. When you take a break, you give yourself the space to cool down and think about what you actually want to say, instead of just reacting in the moment. You also give your husband the chance to do the same. And more often than not, when you come back to the conversation, you'll find that the problem isn't nearly as big as it felt in the heat of the moment. Step 5. Focus on the good, not just the bad. When you're constantly fighting, it's so easy to only see what's wrong. Every little thing he does that annoys you stands out. Every time he forgets something, every time he says the wrong thing, every time he doesn't react the way you want. It all feels like proof that something is broken. But here's what most people don't realize. The way you see your husband directly affects how you feel about your marriage. If you focus on his flaws, you will always feel frustrated. If you focus on his mistakes, you will always feel disappointed. But if you shift your attention even slightly toward the things he does right, the things you appreciate, the reasons you fell in love in the first place, everything starts to change. It doesn't mean ignoring problems. It just means not letting them define your entire relationship. For the next week, make it a point to notice one good thing about him every day. Say thank you when he does something small. Acknowledge the effort, even if it's not perfect. The more you do this, the more you'll start to see your relationship in a new light. All right, I know I just gave you a lot, but here's the deal. If you put even one of these steps into practice, you'll start seeing a shift in your marriage. Less fighting, more connection. And isn't that the goal? If you want even more practical ways to improve your marriage, head over to romancedictionary.com/marriage. There are some seriously life-changing resources waiting for you there. The link is in the pop-up here and in the description below. And hey, if this video helped you, do me a favor, hit the like button so I know this is the kind of content you want more of. And if you've been struggling with a specific issue, drop a comment below. I read every single one. Make sure you subscribe and turn on your notifications, because we've got more videos coming that will help you create the relationship you actually want. Also, check out the next video. It's going to help you take your marriage even further. I'll see you in the next one.